When you're a first-time investor, it is a little difficult in the very beginning. Why? Because you have to build that relationship with your GC, your general contractor. You have to understand how to properly calculate scope of work, right? How much repairs or renovations are going to go into your construction budget. You have to be able to put all of that in place, and then on top of that, understand or find the property, right? And then understanding that there's an ARV component. A lot of when you're doing fix and flips, one of the most important components of a fix and flip is what is the ARV? What is the return on the investment, the after repair value? So I spoke to a realtor yesterday who him and his brother are starting to do their first fix and flip. That simple formula, right, was something that they weren't aware of, right? And if you're looking for finance later on, you're looking for the right property, you have to make sure that you understand that. Now, the first thing is, whenever you're looking for a fix and flip, is what is the after repair value? That's the first thing that I do. I don't even ask the purchase price. I don't even ask the rehab budget. What is the after repair value? Reason why is because 70%, that's a little bit of a conservative number. Some people go out to 75. I like to use 70%. At 70, what is 70% of the after repair value? That number is going to determine how far or what your purchase price can be and what your rehab budget combined cannot exceed. If it's a $500,000 property at 70%, your purchase price plus your rehab budget cannot exceed 350,000. For me, that's the easiest way to calculate it so that now you have an idea. Okay, so the property is worth 290. I have to put X amount into it. Rehab, I cannot exceed X amount. So if it's 290 and you have 350, then you know that your rehab budget cannot exceed 60,000. So there's a lot of different components that go into fix and flip. But on the fix and flip side, you have a lot of investors that are consistently flipping properties. I got a term loan done, 5 year term, rate was 8.25, $50,000. I got that done in 48 hours. So it all depends on what type of program, and that determines the speed of what we can get done. And the state, the industry as well. Transportation is one of the trickiest, the ones that take a while if they get approved, unfortunately. But we do have programs that can go 24 hours. Client has access to funds. Some of them can take up to 30 days. There is never a term on a merchant cash advance deal. And the reason why is because there's something called specified percentage on the contract. And that the first page is very important whenever you look at a merchant cash advance deal. Because the first page actually gives you an out or assistance in the event that you ever have issues making payments. Let's assume that you lost a big client. Let's assume that, I don't know, there was a storm, right? And now all your inventory, let's say, is no longer available, right? Let's say you sell cell phones, and there's a storm, or hurricane or tornado, anything that may happen, and now that dropped down your sales. What happens is you can go right back to the lender and say, hey, Mr. Lender, I need assistance, or I need to restructure this debt because I am not making the same amount of money that I was making before, right? So that's called, in the first page of the contract, there's something called a specified percentage, and it clearly states on there that the approval is based on, let's call it 18% of specified percentage. In the event that they ever have to go ahead and relook at the file, they'll collect the bank statements, they'll calculate it to the same percentage. That's what's going to restructure the approval amount. Okay, so you don't have to go to those debt settlement companies. You don't have to go to any other company that's going to charge you money for something that's already available to you. In the merchant cash advance space, one of the biggest things is communication. Communicate with the investor, with the lender, with the broker, because what's going to happen is they're willing to work with you. Remember, there's nothing tangible that they have against this debt. So if you close shop, you close your doors, what's going to happen is they're going to lose their money. They don't want that. They would rather work with you. So you don't have to hire a third party company. You don't have to hire an attorney to do all this, because I see it now. There's a lot of ads coming up for that, right? But you don't have to do that. You can do it if there is a legitimate reason for you to go ahead and ask for the debt to be restructured. You are able to do so. It's something that's already in the agreement, so that you can now go ahead and adjust it to a new amount, because you're not receiving, or your deposits are not that consistent anymore. Your debt to income does not disqualify you from doing a refi cash out if you have investment properties, because through a DSCR, you're able to go ahead and extract, do a refinance, pull equity from the property as long as the rental income can go ahead and support the mortgage payment. Okay, so even if they don't factor in your personal debt to income, but in this scenario, the properties are already maxed out, so we wouldn't be able to do that. He has a 695 credit score. You would once again be able to go and do business credit cards as well, unless his overall credit utilization is greater than 20%, 25% in some cases. Then that would definitely impact the approval and they would get declined. But business credit cards with a 695 score, as long as the overall credit utilization is 20% or less, we are able to, once again, like I said before, do a non-traditional business line of credit that does not look at the utilization, but we could do a traditional business line of credit. He's been in business for 5 years. Depending on the state that he or she is in, we are able to do a stated business line of credit if they don't have the financials. The most successful brokers aren't the smartest ones, right? You have to remember that. It's not about being smarter. In a couple episodes before, we were talking about the lazy sales guy, right? The lazy sales guy is the one that finds a way to do less work, but by either setting something up more, as a automation, or how to get to the finish line quicker without doing that much work, right? I think we called it what, a lazy sales agent, right? When we were on the one of the episodes on the podcast. So just understand that now in today's day and age, with an AI, with automations, with triggers within the CRM.
Guys, use the CRM.
Yeah.
If they're not asking, they're not telling you to go F yourselves by noon, you're not doing enough marketing.
Yeah.
Trust me. You gotta be relentless. You gotta dive deep and just keep pounding the people until they tell you, hey, I'm done with your list. Because usually it takes between 5 to 7 touches for them to fill out your application.
Yeah.
So if they went to your website once, 90% of the time, 99.9% of the time, they're not going to fill it out.
Correct.
That's why the email sequences are 5, 6, 7, 10 emails deep. And then they have a newsletter that come right after. It's like, it's intense. So you got to do a lot of follow-ups, got a lot of touches, between 5 to 7 touches for you to see the application in.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not even the leads, it's just strategies. You need better strategies in order for you to convert.
Yeah, maybe it's not the right time. They're not ready yet. Maybe they're just curious about it.
Yeah.
So you got to stay in front of them and showing them different programs and be like, hey, the best time to qualify is when you don't actually need it, which is the case. But people, when they need it, they usually don't qualify for it. So you gotta stay on top of them.
And also break habit. If you are only calling the clients in the morning at 8 o'clock in the morning and they do not answer the phone, you know what? They're not going to answer you probably tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning or the same time that you call. Try different times. You'll figure out what times. If you know, just like if you're doing mortgages, if you do mortgages, you're not and it's primary residences. You're not going to call the client. The chances of the client picking up during work hours are very slim because they're working. You want to either call them before work or after work. So try different times of calling. If you know if you're only calling at one certain time, try a different time. Try text messaging, emailing. You have to touch, as Lucas said. I think you have to touch a lead 8 times. You know, in 4 times the first day, 4 times the second day, and then after that, set up automations so that they can consistently. You can focus on the next batch of new leads or new inquiries that are coming in. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Peter, I'm looking forward to those results. All right. Take care, guys.
Everybody.